Okay. And so excited to be here. And we still have a lot going on in the world. So we're going to practice, and we're really just going to take care of our bodies together. And so I've called today's class Traveling Light. It's actually named after the poem that I'm going to share with you today by Pádraig Ó Tuoma, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. But before I read the poem to you, and I'll share with you a little bit more about what I'm hoping to offer throughout our time together today. So, I think that one of the themes that I keep returning to again and again is the way that yoga brings me home, right? And what does home mean? Like, how do we know? I was one of those kids where my parents were divorced, and I went across two households growing up. And there were two very different households. One where I felt what I would say home in myself. I felt relaxed. I felt at ease. I felt like whatever I needed to say was welcome. Whatever I was feeling was welcome. There was this unconditional acceptance. And I'll thank my mom, who's here in class with us, for really creating that space, and my stepdad. And I had another home where that wasn't the case. I had a home where I felt judged, I felt restricted, I felt that there were certain things that I had to manage in terms of my expression. There was a lot that I had to manage for myself, and there was a lot that felt just unsafe. And so there's a very visceral felt experience for me of what home feels like. And I really trust that that is true for all of us, that we have an instinctual sense of self that lets us know when we're safe, when we're accepted, what that feels like viscerally. And when we don't have that our body gives us feedback about that. And what can be really confusing, and I know that having worked with many people over the years, is that not everyone has a visceral original reference point of that sense of safety or that sense of home, right? Sometimes that experience of having a place where we could relax, maybe that wasn't available. And so we have to then reclaim that for ourselves at some point in adulthood, at some point later in life, where we have to actually start to discover maybe what wasn't there in the first place. And I think that the relative safety of the yoga mat and this practice offers those opportunities to sense and feel, and hopefully to unconditionally accept yourself, that no matter what shows up on the yoga mat is welcome here, that you are welcome here just as you are, that you don't have to manage that self-expression, that you don't have to manage what emotions might arise. Right? You might choose to contain or set aside something, but that's up to you. So that choice becomes that very essential element to safety and to that homecoming. The other element of what I feel like is so valuable in this practice is reclaiming that instinctual felt sense, that we have this ability through the movement, in addition to that kind of parameters of safety, but we have this opportunity through movement to really viscerally come back in and get a sense as what is my yes and what is my no and what is my rhythm, and how do I want to breathe with this, and where are those pockets in my body where I feel tight or restricted or shut down. And how might I move with that in a way that allows more of me to be here? Okay. So that's the invitation today. We're going to play with what I would call a more kind of primal movement sequence on the mat, and we'll be low down on the mat for the much of the early portion of class. We'll have a few standing postures at the end, but we'll spend a lot of time very, very close to the earth, and I think that's going to feel good for us today. especially kind of contextualizing what's happening in the world that can kind of pull us up and out very quickly in a lot of fright and a lot of threat states, to come back into the relative safety and to really feel the ground underneath you. I really do hope that this becomes that felt sense, that visceral felt sense of a homecoming for you. So I do invite you today to find a bit of temporary reprieve from the overthinking, from a sense of maybe over responsibility, from the worrying that we're doing on behalf of ourselves or the world, and perhaps to just allow yourself to set aside some of that heaviness temporarily, so that perhaps this can be a pause from the stress and offer an opportunity for a little bit of joy as well, a little bit of playfulness. So I'm going to share a poem, and then I will slide back onto my mat and we'll do some movement together. This poem, as I mentioned, is called Traveling Light, and I will I'll put in the name into the comments so that you have the name of our poet, Pádraig Ó Tuoma. Because sometimes we travel heavy. Because sometimes we travel heavy. And those heady times, we can barely imagine the free body movement of dance. Because sometimes we travel heavy, and those heady times, we can barely imagine the free body movement of dance. Because sometimes we travel dark, and from those hard paths, we can't even conjure an image of sunrise or moonrise or starlight or fire. Because sometimes we travel solo, and those lonely times, we forget all the others we've traveled with lovingly. Because sometimes we travel solo, and those lonely times, we forget all the others we've traveled with lovingly, traveled with home, traveled with home. Because sometimes we need to be traveling lightly. Because sometimes we're in need of regular reminding that light comes in circles and waves and small moments. And light comes to find us, and light comes with hope. Because sometimes we need to be traveling lightly, because sometimes we're in need of regular reminding that light comes in circles and waves and small moments. And light comes to find us, and light comes with hope. So we're going to find some light. I'm shifting back. And I invite you to find a comfortable seat on your mat. That way I can see what you are seeing. And as we arrive together, perhaps taking a moment to tune in to what are you carrying with you into this practice? What is the quality of your own mind? Have you been in that heady place lately? Have those worries been popping in, maybe even in the middle of the night? Noticing the state of your own mind in this moment. and noticing your body. What are you bringing with you into this practice physically? Is there tension, tightness, maybe places of ease? Just welcoming whatever is present for you. Noticing your own emotions. Perhaps that heaviness. And just making space. Knowing that whatever is present for you right now is welcome here. Welcome as part of our experience, part of your practice. Noticing your breath. Where it's moving, flowing, where there might be restriction. And without making anything wrong, just allowing yourself to notice so that there isn't a right state of mind or body or emotions or breath. All of this, all of what's present for you as information, intelligence, informs the quality of energy that's present for you in this moment. Noticing whether you feel alert or tired. And here you are, observing mind and body and emotions, breath, energy, letting that give you feedback about the state of your own interior, your nervous system. And from that self-awareness, perhaps setting an intention. What it is that brought you to the mat, what it is that you're hoping to take away with you. Perhaps that willingness to temporarily set aside the worries, the responsibilities, the heaviness, knowing that you can choose if you want to pick that up again at the end of practice, but exploring perhaps what it feels like to give yourself permission, just to set that aside for now. And then from here, I'll invite you to rub your palms together, generate a little bit of warmth. And then taking your hands to your face. And as if you were caressing a beloved child, maybe your own inner child or a child from your life, just allowing yourself to kind of stroke the sides of your face, above and under your eyes, across your hairline. Across the cheeks and jaw. Maybe even giving your ears a little bit of a love, a roll in or a roll out. Back of your neck, front of your throat. And then shoulders down to elbows. Just feeling that kind of self-hug that's right here for you. And you might take your hands down across your back body, and you might even bring that touch down the legs, fronts and backs, giving your feet a little bit of love as well. Just waking up your sensory experience of yourself, your body, this remembering yourself home. Lovely. And then from here, I'll invite you to take the soles of your feet together into a kind of cobbler's pose, a little butterfly shape. And it doesn't have to be a real closed in shape. Your feet can be far enough out that it feels comfortable, okay? And if you need to sit up on a cushion for this, just finding your way that allows this to be a comfortable enough shape. And I'm going to invite you to just find a little bit of spinal movement. So I'll show this from the side just so you have a kind of a different sense of it. But this is rhythmic. And I really invite you to just find your own sense of rhythm with this movement. You can just honor your breath and this flowing, kind of undulating movement of your spine. Good. And then coming back to center and bringing your hands right over your diaphragm for a moment. And if it's too much to keep your feet in butterfly, you can cross your legs. So whatever is going to support you here. And for just a few breaths, allowing yourself to really expand the diaphragm. And exhale, draw it in. And again, your spine might match this. Inhale, expand. And exhale. And your hands might also match this. Inhale, opening the arms. And exhale, drawing it in. And as you open the arms, expanding across that diaphragmatic bridge. And exhale. One more like that. It can be a lot to stretch into the diaphragm. We're going to come back to that wave-like movement of the spine. Sensing the front of the body, the back of your body. And then we'll take this into a deer shape. So we're going to maybe hands-free, shift your weight into your left hip to turn your right leg. Right, so knee towards foot, foot is back, and then taking a twist to the left and allowing yourself just to find your way in here. We'll pause on this side, maybe lifting that right arm. Right, just feeling your way into the side body, opening up and stretching. And then we're going to come back through cobblers. Again, maybe hands free as you shift your weight to center. We'll take a breath here, forward and back. And then we're going to shift to the other side. Weight dropping into the right hip, lifting the left leg, shifting knee towards foot, and then we'll turn towards the right. And you can take a few breaths here, just rhythmically finding your way into the side. Maybe reach through that left arm. Exploring those maybe little pockets around the breath where we can open up and send the breath into new crevices in the body, the neck, the side body. And coming back through to center. Okay. And so now we're going to go a little side to side, that breath to center. We're going to shift to the left, maybe hands free this time. We're going to come to center, a breath forward. And we're going to shift, left leg turns as we turn to the right. And just a few more times, your breath, your rhythm. Knowing you can pause in any shape, reside there, get to know it before moving on, or you might move more rhythmically. No right, no wrong. One more time each side. And then we're going to slow it down again. We are going to go to the left, but this time we're going to pause again, taking the hands down and maybe reaching down towards the earth, folding over into this side. And you can decide how much of a twist is in this versus going straight over your knee. So your lower back might give you some feedback there. And then listen carefully as we come back up. We're going to lift through that right leg, but we're going to take it in front of the left. This time, coming into a forward fold over your legs and maybe walking to the left. Breathing into the right side body or right hip. And then sliding up, wading into the hips to send the right leg forward. And breathing towards the right foot and back up. Again, a few rhythmic breaths here. And you might notice, and you get to have choice around this, but in this traveling lightly, maybe being hands-free, just exploring the rhythm of the spine. So we're not trying to force into any stretch. We're just allowing ourselves to kind of breathe and move with the breath. A slight shift here. We're going to take that right leg to the side and breathe into the side body stretch. In and out. And it doesn't have to be the deepest version of this shape, right? Just allowing yourself to greet your side body, greet the back of the right leg. And then up through to center, drawing both soles of the feet together around here in cobblers, finding the breath. Shifting into the right hip as the left hip comes around, left leg, twisting towards the right and maybe folding down on this side. Exploring how your body makes this yours, finding your way in. Perhaps letting this be a little joyful right here. And then slowly coming back around, this time left shin in front of the right, folding over your legs. And then perhaps walking the hands to the right. So really stretching through that left arm and breathing down into that left hip. Your body, your rhythm. Returning back up to center, shifting the weight to lengthen through your left leg. And then a few waving movements of spine towards leg, the arms taking you on a journey. Breath infused in the movement. And then this time, opening your left leg a little wider to find some side body movement. Lovely. And coming back to center. Feet meeting here in cobblers. One more time forward, and we're going to change it up a little bit. This time as we come back, you might lift your feet off of the floor, a little balance. I'll show this from the side. Coming forward and coming back up, a little bit of balance. A few more like that. Coming up into balance, maybe giving yourself a chance to really roll your spine and roll back and up, perhaps finding that little balance. Now, if your feet come to the floor, just fine, right? Exploring a little bit of that rhythm of the roll and lifting back up, maybe finding that balance. Now, if you're not rounding through your spine, you might clunk back. So explore what happens as you draw the diaphragm in, create that rounding so that the roll has a smoothness to it. And one more like that. Good. Settling your feet onto the floor and an invitation to then roll all the way down. From here, an option to place your hands behind your head. You can bring the soles of the feet together once again. And this time we'll find like a clamshell here, elbows and knees together and apart. Exhaling as we lift, finding that contraction, and inhale as we open. Beautiful. So this too can be rhythmic. And hopefully there's a quality of this feeling good, right? That you get to be nourished even by the effortfulness. In this next one, I'll invite you to stay up, making contact, knees to backs of arms, maybe lengthening out through your arms like you were planting the hands on the ceiling here, like a upside down crow pose, Bakasana, and a little kind of foreshadowing of what might be to come later in the practice. And then letting it go, taking a moment, settling your head down to the mat, perhaps wrapping your arms around your shins. You might rock a little side to side. Good. Freeing the hands, this time crossing the right ankle around the left thigh here. So a little figure four, hands behind your head once again. And on an exhale, turning towards the right, inhale to open. So waking up, this tether to your core helps find a predictable path back home, right? So we can expand into the world without losing that sense of self. Coming back down through center, this time a brief figure four stretch. You can thread the right arm through and take a clasp here of your shin or under your knee, whichever you prefer. Just a few breaths, micro movements or stillness, it's up to you. Greeting any sensation in your right hip. And we're going to unwind the right leg, taking a hold of your left shin and extend the right leg long. And just the right leg moves here. Inhale to lift and exhale to lower. And simultaneously press your left shin into your hands so that you've got this active press in the left leg as the right leg is moving. Good. And then settling right leg down to the earth, perhaps a few circular movements of your left thigh and shin around the hip, one direction and the other. Beautiful. And then releasing left foot down, right foot to bend, and we'll switch sides. Taking left ankle over the top of the right leg. Maybe the foot comes off the floor, hands behind the head. And exhale as we twist to the left. Lovely. Coming back to center, settling your head down, taking a hold of your right shin, and a little bit of movement or stillness here. Sending your breath as if you could breathe through a straw right into that left hip. We don't have lungs there, but our intentional breathing is a powerful practice and it draws our attention towards sensation. Continuing to hold the right shin as we unwind the left leg, sending the left heel towards the earth and back up. And as you move through the left leg, having an active press of right shin into your hands and a resistance with your hands. So this is a move here that actually has a lot to it. Feeling that active press and resistance on the right side and the movement on the left. Beautiful. Lowering your left heel and a few rotations around the right hip, letting that feel good each direction here. Lovely. This time drawing left knee in to meet the right and perhaps a few rocks on your spine. Eventually rocking up and over your shins and coming all the way across. Now, we'll come back to tabletop, but for now, I'm going to invite you to come all the way down onto your belly. For a brief moment here, just stacking your hands and resting your forehead onto your hands in crocodile. Maybe you rock your hips a little bit side to side, or you find stillness. And then from here, I'll invite you to come onto your forearms. And if Sphinx pose ever feels uncomfortable in your lower back, tuck your tailbone and feel a little bit of a lift of the pelvis, lengthen through the lower back, and then settle back down. And in fact, we're all going to do that together. We're going to tuck the tailbone, we're going to lift through the hips, and we're going to lower. So we're waking up through that kind of lowest transverse abdominal support here, just really feeling that low support for your low back and a connection to your sacrum in this shape. And you can stay with this lift, keeping the knees down, or you might take it a little further, lifting through the hips and the knees, coming onto the tops of the feet and your forearms. And then lowering it down, maybe a little reach through the heart. And then we lift. Good. And we'll repeat that a few more times. Lifting the hips, maybe lifting the knees, and settling. One more time like that. Beautiful. From our sphinx pose, we'll find a little sphinx frog. So we'll take the left knee, maybe turn towards that left knee. You can come in and out of a little twist here. You might stay with forearms on the earth, or you might plant that left hand and find even a deeper twist towards the left. Again, that quality of undulating the spine, even in this shape. I invite you to really find that quality of movement that feels good. If it starts to feel edgy or painful, you can back off, right? So there's lots of ways to play here. And planting that left forearm, lengthening through your left leg, and we'll find side two. Bending through the right knee, turning towards the right. You might stay just like this. Or you might plant that right hand and a little bit of lift, turning towards, maybe looking back over your shoulder. The quality of opening up through the diaphragm, the psoas, feeling all of that kind of fascial tissue in there that's getting a massage from the inside out. And then back down to center, extending the right leg back to meet the left, and maybe using your hands here, pressing back into a child's pose. We're not here very long, but again, I invite you to make it yours. You might rock a little side to side. You might walk your hands off the mat one direction and then the other. So following from the home base of the shape, what feels good? What makes it yours? And we'll take that intuitive movement up into our table shape. So just allowing yourself to move freely, finding any movements that wake up your body today. Allow yourself to integrate and get to know what's happening in there, your sensations being your greatest guide through these movements. Lovely. And then if your toes are curled under like mine are, maybe untucking the toes here and allowing a little bit of guided movement. See how this feels in your body. We'll inhale, lifting head, tail. This time on the exhale, lifting the knees, coming onto the tops of the feet. Lowering through the shins, inhale, head, tail as we breathe into cow, and our cat shape has this little modification of lifting through the knees. One more like that. And then lowering through the knees, we're going to curl the toes under and set the hips back towards the heels. You can use your hands here to walk your upper body back, sitting on your tops of your heels here in toes pose. And you can even reach around and maybe even kind of widen the toes on your feet. And some of you go, whoa, 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 that's a lot on my feet. So you might be here, okay? So getting to know your body and letting the fascia of your feet be your teacher in this moment. How does it feel to sit back and open up through the soles of your feet, greeting the sensation with breath? Beautiful. And we'll lean forward, untucking the toes, and we're going to sit back once again. Now, sitting on the heels, we're going to open up through the fronts of your ankles and shins. So I'll offer one knee at a time, lifting through the left knee. And you can see there's a stretch here. We're going to lower that side, lifting through the right knee. And you might stay with one leg at a time, or you might even play with rolling back and lifting both knees at once and breathing into the fronts of your ankles. And again, your ankles this time are your teacher. So you're going to let your body give you feedback. What is the kind of movement in this shape that's going to work for you, right? Okay, we're not there very long. So we're going to come out of that. Coming back is just sitting onto the heels. Once again, hands are going to kind of mirror our diaphragm. And on an inhale, allowing yourself to find that expansion. And exhale, draw it in. We're going to add on, inhale, lifting the hips. And exhale. Inhale, really feel that expansion like a beach ball in the belly. And exhale. And again. One last time like that. And exhale. Sitting here, hero's pose, rock pose, just a few breaths, noticing what's happening in mind, body, emotions, breath, energy. And when you're ready, through to tabletop. And we'll do a little bit of a movement here. So you might watch for a moment. It's pretty intuitive, but I just want to show it because it's a little different. So we're going to exhale as we draw knee towards the armpit and inhale back. But notice that as the exhale happens, I'm curling my head towards my knee. And so you'll find that it's like a cat-cow, but the knees and the hips get involved in a new way here. So you can go side to side, really curling the spine. The head comes in and back out, and in, and back out. Lovely. Okay, and then from here, we are going to curl the toes under. We'll settle both knees to the earth. We're going to curl the toes under and lift the knees off of the ground. So now we've got a, I don't know, we'll call it a hovering cat, hovering table here. And we'll find a little bit of that same motion just with the opposite knee off the earth. So and back. And back. Lovely. And then an invitation, once both feet are on the ground, to lengthen through the backs of your legs and coming into a kind of a downward facing dog, but we'll still keep the knees bent here. So we're moving towards a little bit of a crouching tiger. And you can get that sense of mobility as your hips can come towards your heels and then lengthen back up. And we're going to play right there. And waving your spine forward and then back as the hips come towards your heels. And then waving forward and back. And again, as you wave your spine forward, let your chin tuck and come forward last. so that it's like the back of your heart is the wave coming to the shore. Beautiful. And then coming back into our crouching tiger, we're going to use that same action of knee towards the shoulder to step that right foot forward. Okay, and you can play with it again, taking the back of the heart, the head is curled in as we step the foot, then we lengthen through the neck. From here, I'll offer up a lowering down of your left knee, and if you need a cushion there, finding that, and just a few breaths here in and out of your lunge. Again, kind of intuitively finding your way in. You might back up and come forward. And then eventually walking hands to the inside of your right leg. You can toe heel your right foot out so that the toes are out at a 45-degree angle. And then as we make our way here into a lunge, even a dragon lunge here, we can turn towards that right thigh. Right, if I'm showing this from another angle here, I'm turning towards that right leg. And you might even reach that right arm back. You might bend the left leg and take hold of the foot, but remember, there is no goal. There's nothing to achieve. You are just bringing yourself home. And then slowly unwinding, planting both hands on the floor, and an option here as we press back towards downward dog to lift through the right leg, maybe bend through the right leg and feel that opening again of the psoas. You can explore lengthening through the right leg, bending it, whatever intuitively brings just the right sensation. You're like, oh yeah, that spot, right? And then slowly right foot back to the earth, moving between that crouching tiger, maybe a wave forward into plank and back again. And we're going to take the left knee with us, waving forward, stepping the left foot forward. And then the right knee can settle. And a few free flowing breaths here on this side, making it yours, getting to know what this side of your body wants you to know. And then you can toe heel that left foot out. Maybe begin to find that twist toward the left leg. Maybe reaching back with the left arm, and perhaps the right leg bends. Doesn't matter if you make contact. And if you do, just allowing that to be a guide for the breath and the opening, following sensation. And slowly, slowly unwinding. This time, coming back through that downward dog, lifting the left leg one more time. Maybe bending the knee, maybe straightening it. What allows you to find just the right sensation on this side. And then slowly, replacing left foot to the earth. Knees are going to come down. Chest can come down. And we're going to lower all the way down to your belly. For a moment, crocodile, stacking the hands, forehead onto the palms, and backs of the hands, maybe a little rock of your hips. So we've got another little playful sequence here coming up, and might be another one where it's helpful to watch for just a moment to get a sense as to where we're going. I'm going to place my hands underneath my shoulders. I'm going to bend through my right knee, and then I'm actually going to reach my right foot, and I'm pressing into my right hand to help facilitate this as I reach my right foot back and behind. And when my right foot touches the earth, I'm actually going to come all the way up to sitting. Oh, a little bit of a spinal twist here, okay? So it takes a little bit of trust to make that transition. We're going to find our way back up and over. We're rolling across the left leg and right foot comes back down to the earth. We'll try it on the other side. Again, we'll have several opportunities to play with it. So we're rolling left hip, left foot, reaching back. It's going to touch the earth. This is a helpful time to maybe get some things that's next to your mat out of the way, or you'll clear it out anyway. And then maybe a spinal twist to the left. All right, we're going to unwind. That right arm can help lead you back, and we come all the way down through cobra. Right leg is going to turn, draw us back. We lift up and twist. And as you get more comfortable with this, you might just begin to sense that it's relatively comfortable to roll from side to side. I'm always reminded with this particular sequence of that time when I watched my daughter figure out how to roll for the first time. And then it was like that log roll across the floor, just roll, 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 right? And that there's something about just kind of once that sequence is learned, we just want to kind of keep going with it because it feels good. So you're finding your rhythm. I'm going to go side to side. Beautiful. And if you'd like a little add-on, I'm going to add it on here. So right leg is coming across. We're going to find that twist towards the right. And then this time, left hand coming down is going to plant and maybe a pause to lift the hips. A freedom moment, how good that can feel. We're going to lower the hips back down. We're going to roll. Left foot is taking the lead. I come up. Finding your twist to the left, right hand up and around, planting, maybe a moment to lift the hips, and settling back over. Let's do that sequence one more time. Right leg takes the lead, twisting to the right. Left arm takes the lead, a lift of the hips, settling, rolling, and it's the left leg up and over. Here we go, finding the twist. Right arm, planting, pressing, settling, and to the earth. Well done. Well done. From here, I'll invite you to shift back into Anahatasana. So puppy dog pose, hips stacked above your knees, walking your hands forward, lowering your heart, your forehead to the mat. Maybe lifting up onto your fingertips. Just breathing into the backside of your heart and feeling that support of the earth beneath you. Slowly replanting your palms, moving through tabletop and pressing back towards downward facing dog. Good. And from our downward facing dog, we're going to play a little bit with some kind of migration movement, okay? Some traveling lightly. So we'll start with something that'll feel rather familiar, which is we're going to draw that right knee forward towards the back of the right wrist, maybe even to the outside of that right wrist. And then from here, bending your left leg, we're going to step the left leg forward and finding your way into a squat. And you can choose, you can keep your hips lifted or you can lower them down. You can turn the feet slightly out. So we've got a little bit of a squat here. And then we're going to plant the hands and we're going to reverse that. We're going to take the right foot back, left foot back, downward facing dog. Bending the knees, letting the back of the heart, the head is tucked, stepping left foot forward, bending right knee, stepping right knee forward. A little bit of a squat. Your choice of depth. And then we're going to step left foot back, right foot back. And we'll do that one more time each side. Right foot, left foot, a little squat. Right foot steps back, left foot steps back, left foot steps forward, right foot steps forward. Finding the squat. Left foot steps back, right foot steps back. And maybe a little bit of a walking it out in your downward facing dog. So in our migration theme here, our traveling light, the next part of this progression, and you can always stay with that step movement, the next option is to take both feet forward at the same time. Okay, what does that look like, right? It's a little bit of a hop. And you can hop them back as well, right? Just maybe exploring it, your body, your practice, listening to what is right for you, finding a little bit of that edge of challenge. One more opportunity to play with that hop. And then once you arrive at the back of your mat, stepping your feet wider, and we'll walk the hands back this time, finding that squat. So you might be sensing your quadriceps, your legs. I kind of hope you are. It's a pretty grounding practice, right? We're really rooting here, feeling our connection to the earth. And maybe walking a little side to side, allowing yourself to lift and lower the heels, open through the knees. And then eventually, perhaps right here at center, reaching your arms, feeling the strength of your legs, pressing into both feet and lifting all the way to standing. And we'll repeat that, right? Just like that child that's figuring out how to move from the earth to standing for the very first time, right? And it's like, whoa, wow, here we are. Maybe I need to hold on to that chair or that, or that couch, and I'm going to pull myself up, right? And then back down, and maybe it's I'm standing because I'm reaching for something I really want, right? And I'm just reaching. And that's what makes that big transition happen. Here you are, standing as yourself, as your present, actual whole self. This is a practice of remembering your way home. Here you are. Allowing yourself just to sense and feel what it's like to be standing for the first time. We're an hour into practice, noticing what it feels like. Beautiful. From here, I will invite you just to find a little bit of that spinal wave, allowing yourself to feel that mobility so that we don't lose that sense of connection and fluidity, even when we come into an upright shape. Maybe your hands are free with this movement. Just allowing your arms to be an extension of your spine, an extension of your heart. Beautiful. And we'll find it a little bit side to side, just breathing into each side body. Ah. Good. And then through center, a little bit of an opening here of the heart, just allowing yourself to open the arms, find that little bit of a lift, feeling the strength of your legs, a slight bend in the knees. And then inhaling as we lift and exhale as we lower into forward fold. Finding a halfway lift, we lengthen the spine, and exhale, we're going to curl down, and we're going to repeat that a few more times. Inhale, that same undulation wave, head coming last, and exhale to fold. Beautiful. Next time, planting your hands, an invitation to step back into plank. And exhale, knees, chest and chin to the earth, settling your hips. And you have an option to come through cobra, right? To find some of those cobra rolls, or I will give an option to come into an upward facing dog from the earth, drawing your hands a little bit further back towards your rib cage, rolling your shoulders forward, up and down. And then from there, as we find a lift of the heart, pressing into the tops of the feet, we've been there already in different shapes, and then lifting the heart from here. We're going to roll over the tops of the toes, bending the knees, and making your way back to downward facing dog. Finding your breath. Finding your way into your experience. And knowing that there's option for our transition forward. You might take that one leg and the other, or you might hop your feet forward towards the front of the mat. Inhale, finding a halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing. And exhale, palm to palm in front of the heart. Sweeping arms up, inhale. Maybe exhale, finding that opening of the heart, a slight back bend here. Inhale, sweeping upward. And exhale to fold. Inhale, finding a halfway lift. And exhale, listen carefully, this time planting the hands, lowering your hips. And as I mentioned when we were on our back doing a supine bakasana, supine crow pose, we might play with that here. So you have choices, right? You can stay here just playing in the squat. You might explore what it feels like to place the knees towards the backs of your arms and to start to send your weight towards your hands, right? And allowing yourself maybe to pick up one toe and then the other. Or maybe you find that little balance point right there. A little bit of flight, a little bit of traveling light, letting go of the heaviness and just exploring what happens if you fall out. Well, the floor is not that far away. You'll be okay. You'll be okay. Playing there as long as you would like. And when you are ready, we will find our way back through to a plank. An option to lower either halfway down or all the way down, and finding an upward facing dog if you'd like, or a cobra, or skipping all of that. Eventually meeting in downward facing dog. from our downward dog shape. Here's an option to draw the right leg back. And then knee coming towards your chest, head tucking inward, stepping right foot forward between your hands. We'll lift to fingertips, but knowing that this might be a great place for those blocks, right? So you can always bring the floor closer to you or lifting to fingertips and sending your hips back. You can bend into your left knee and find a lift of those right toes so that we've got a little variation here of a pyramid shape, but we're just kind of playing here. Again, no goal, no force. And then replanting the right foot. You can check that your feet are nice and wide in their base, and then lifting through the upper body. So coming into a kind of crescent lunge here, and we'll take the hands over the diaphragm. And then allowing the hands to help expand that breath. Inhale and exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. This time we're going to lift the arms and we're going to turn open towards a warrior two. Once again, we're going to play with the breath. So this will be maybe a little different than how we've done this flow before. So you might just listen with me. We'll start with the hands at the diaphragm. Exhale here. Inhale. Exhale, we're going to lengthen through the right leg. Inhale. And exhale. You might even follow the right hand with your gaze. Good. And then inhaling forward. Exhale, keeping the arms long as we lengthen through the right leg and then rotating the arms, triangle trikonasana. Your gaze might be up, it might be to the side, it might be down. Maybe you reach that right arm long overhead, reaching into the side body. Beautiful. And then softening through the right knee, inhale. And exhale, walking your hands down, planting your hands. We're going to inhale, draw the right leg back. An option here to open up through the side body once again, to stack right hip above the left. Maybe you lengthen through the leg, maybe you bend it. And some of you might explore bending it so much, shifting, taking right hand off the earth. And we found that wild thing that we found from the floor earlier. A different way to drop back into it, honoring your body if that's right for you. And then we come back up and over, planting right hand, and we meet in downward facing dog. So if that wasn't for you, totally grok that, right? Just listening to what is right in your body. We'll find this inside too. Inhale, lifting through the left leg. And then we're drawing knee towards the chest, keeping the head tucked, stepping right foot forward, and then lengthen the spine. Maybe onto fingertips as we come into a modified pyramid and lifting through the left toes. You can bend into that right knee, just finding your way in. Eventually into crescent we go, feet nice and wide in a base here. So we're more on railroad tracks and not a balance beam. And then as we come into this shape, bringing your palms here to the diaphragm and inhale. and exhale. And inhale. One more. Inhale, sweeping the arms up as our transition into warrior two. Now I'm just gonna flip around so I'm still facing you. It feels nice. And we'll play with that breath. Palms in. Inhale. Exhale here. Inhale as the arms open. And exhale as we lengthen through the left leg, draw the arms in. Really allowing the hands to be a reminder for that opening of the diaphragm. Sweeping it. Inhale, maybe the left arm is the gaze point for your eyes, and you can turn your head toward the left and back to center. One more like that. And coming back, this time lengthening the arms, keeping the left leg long. Reach, 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 rotate, and finding your way into triangle. You can always keep a micro bend in that lower leg. And as your legs are the stable base here, maybe a little bit of exploratory movement in the right arm. Slowly we inhale here. Exhale as you make your way back down to the front of your mat. This time, maybe the left leg reaches back up. Maybe the knee bends and we open up through that psoas line. Maybe you stay here, or perhaps you begin to play with dropping that left leg back, and there's a moment where you hover. There's a moment of trust, lifting that left hand, trusting the left toes will find the mat, and then opening through the heart, finding that reach. And we come back around, planting the left hand as the right hip comes back up and over. From here, we will make our way back close to the earth, drawing right knee forward towards your right wrist. And a moment here as we prepare for pigeon, knowing that coming back to that figure four is always an option, right? But as we prepare for pigeon, before folding forward, taking that moment to find that lift, to feel that expansion right here across the diaphragm. Maybe to open through the arms, the wings. And then on an exhale, finding your way in. You might stack the hands once again, resting the forehead onto your stacked hands. And then an opportunity to turn inward with your attention. Perhaps scanning your body, softening through your eyes, your jaw, your neck and shoulders. Receiving the support of the earth beneath you. And then very slowly, pressing into your hands, we will lift through the upper body. And I'll invite you to shift your weight into your right hip as we turn and turn and turn towards your left leg. And from here, finding a forward fold. This time, perhaps more of that settling in to stillness, that arriving. Whatever helps you meet this shape, you can always use blocks under your forearms, right? Just letting yourself find the support that you need, a bolster over your leg. And then slowly walking up. I'm going to turn to the side. And again, we've been here today, but just finding a new relationship to this shape. You might take that right arm up overhead. You might keep the right hand grounded on the right hip. So just listening, you get to make every shape your very own. There's no goal to achieve. You're simply arriving to yourself again and again. And then the right arm sweeping up. Perhaps you'd like one more pause here, planting right hand, right shin, left foot, and another way into our lifted heart opening shape. Before settling back forward, pressing back, downward facing dog. Finding your way into pigeon on side 2 or supine for figure 4, honoring your body. Taking left knee towards your left wrist, and a moment here, pressing into your hands to lift your heart. Maybe hands free. So allowing yourself to feel that open-hearted greeting of the world. You are here. And then when you feel ready, walking your hands down, setting your head down to rest through the muscles of the back of your neck. Soften through your eyes. This side may have a different story to tell. And your job is simply to listen, to receive. In a way, every shape becomes this opportunity to have a dialogue with your most intimate self and to truly, unconditionally accept what is here for you. Slowly, slowly, pressing into the hands, shifting onto your left hip, turning towards the back, towards your right leg. And if it feels right, finding a forward fold here. And finding a halfway lift, and we'll turn open, finding our side body, side stretch here, and making it yours. And then letting the left arm lift you back up. Left hand to the earth, one last opportunity to lift and open. And then to settle down. Hips to the earth. This time, just turning towards the back of your mat. Okay? You can allow your feet to be long. Maybe you grab a layer for warmth or a blanket, and then slowly settling all the way down. In a moment here, maybe drawing your knees in towards your chest, just rocking side to side and asking yourself, is there any final movement that you need to complete your practice? Listening, maybe it pops in as an image or a feeling or an instinctual impulse, right? To just give yourself permission to be moved. And perhaps that impulse is to go right into your resting shape, your shavasana, extending one leg and then the other, and arms by your sides. So take as much time as you want in movement, and we'll meet in stillness. Arriving in this final resting shape, just allowing any further need to do or achieve, if that even showed up today, really just set it aside. This is a time to receive and to be nourished by your practice, to once again be present to yourself, your whole self. This is a practice of remembering yourself home. Because sometimes we need to be traveling lightly. Because sometimes we're in need of regular reminding that light comes in circles and waves and small moments, and light comes to find us, and light comes with hope. As always, you are welcome to stay in your resting shape, in your shavasana, for as long as you possibly can. Let yourself be nourished here. Receive the practice. And for those of you that are ready or needing to transition with your day, an invitation to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, Rotate hands around the wrists and feet, around the ankles. And eventually, in your very own timing, your very own rhythm, perhaps rocking on your spine or rolling to one side, and making your way back up to sitting. And from here, a moment to just consciously close out our practice together. Maybe palm to palm in front of your heart, or palm over your palm over your heart. Whatever feels more like home. Tuning in to your intention set at the beginning of practice, giving yourself permission to fully receive that here and now. And in your own way, if it resonates for you, extending the benefits of this practice to all beings. Namaste.